Truth and Taxation meeting of the City of Granite Falls to order. Tonight, what we go over is the city budget and how the tax dollars are being spent. If anybody is here to talk about their personal homeowner or commercial taxes, that is all done at the Board of Appeals in April. Tonight, none of that residential homeowner or commercial taxes is discussed. What truth and taxation is when we get together and we discuss how the tax dollars are being spent through the city budget. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Crystal.
Okay, thank you. As Steve shared, per truth and taxation requirements, the purpose of this hearing is to inform residents of the proposed general revenue fund budget and provide the opportunity for feedback. Once opportunity for input has been given, the hearing will be closed and the formal adoption of the proposed budget will take place at the December 15th meeting or a next meeting, as the night of the public hearing cannot be held the same night as the adoption of the budget. Happy to answer questions. Otherwise, for sure, we'll save time at the end of the presentation for any questions. I will add too, in addition to this presentation, if there's any really specific questions or you want to sit down and go over anything, I'm always happy to. Just come to City Hall here. We're happy to sit down with you and explain any questions or elaborate further. All right, so getting started here with the general fund levy. Proposed for 2026 is a total of $1,955,274. This is an increase of $237,784 compared to 2025. Shown on this slide is just a historical comparison going back to 2012 for informational purposes. As a reminder, in addition to the levy impacting your taxes would also be the value or your property value. If your property value goes up, your taxes will go up. It's actually possible to have a levy decrease and your property value goes up and your taxes go up. So those are the two variables that impact your taxes, to note that. Oh, is there a question? Okay. All right. In addition to the general fund levy, we also do have a debt service levy. This pays for like street utility type projects, other large projects that we do in the community. For 2026, the total debt service levy is to be $1,133,900. This is an increase of $5,400. And again, as you can see up there is a historical comparison going back to 2012. And in addition to past, also looking out projection of future debt service levy. So one thing I do want to remind especially council is the 2026 budget. Actually, I'll back up. You'll see there on the chart, we have some balloon debt service payments in 27, 28, and 29. So as part of the budget for 2026, we do have a designated reserve of $281,838. Of that amount, $25,000 is to go back to pay the city for a seal coating project that was done in 2020. But the remaining amount of $256,838 is set aside to cover those balloon payments, or meaning when it comes to 27, that increase will not go on the tax levy. What we're doing is holding some local government aid, which we'll talk more in a little bit too about that, as well as the city is currently receiving some state funding for transition aid. It's due to the result of the closure of the NSP facility, so we are receiving some state aid. So we are holding on to those dollars to cover those payments again. So come 27, 28, and 29, we can cover those with internal funds, and that will not go on the actual levy, which provides a cost savings to our residents. So in addition to the debt service levy, we do also have an EDA levy that was started in 2020. The EDA board is asking for 26 for council approval consideration to levy the full amount, which is $38,848. This is calculated on a per capita basis. And again, this levy dollars must be used towards economic development related activities only. And then in addition to that EDA levy, we also have an HRA levy, also started around the same time in 2020. Again, for 2026, the ask of the EDA board is $39,640. These dollars must specifically use towards housing activities only. So with that shared, this just shows all the levies combined. Again, that historical comparison since 2012, with 26 being at $3,167,662. Going back to government, local government aid, this is funding that the city receives from the state. We do rely very heavily on this funding. It makes up about 29% of our budget and our revenue. As you can see, again, historical comparison since 2012. For 26, we are going to see a slight increase, and it's going up to $1,242,392, or that is an increase of $3,628. This funding, again, we do heavily rely upon this from the state. If it does go down, if it does go up, that impacts its property taxes or the level of services that the city provides. For a number of years, we weren't seeing much of an increase. It's more of kind of in the last handful of years that we are starting to see some increases, which has overall helped to keep some of the tax level down. And this chart I always like to show because it's just a nice comparison of, in the blue, you got the general fund levy, in the orange, you got the debt service levy, and then, of course, the gray line there also reflects that level of LGA in comparison to the two. So again, just another visual to show the three combined, and again, that historical comparison. So diving more into the general fund. So we have different categories. I'll start on the revenue side first. We have the intergovernmental revenues, which is about 35% of the budget, and that's again primarily that local aid payment from the state. And then we have the general property tax levy. That's about 47% of revenue received. We have charges for services, that's primarily rental income from airport land, fire contracts, neighboring townships. That's about 4%. Other financing sources would be transfers from both the liquor and the electrical fund, and that would make up 3%. Some notes here for under the revenue, just as a reminder for the 26 calendar year, we do receive a gas franchise fee that will go directly into the KCC budget in the amount of $135,000. Transfer from both the light and the liquor fund are proposed to be the same into the general fund. So from the light fund, it would be $325,000, and the liquor fund would be $100,000. And then also part of the 26 budget does include $60,000 received from the Wyoming School District for the school resource officer position. On the revenue side, the expense side, we have public safety, which is about 32% of the budget. That's your police, your fire, your rescue services. General government, that's 14% of the budget. That's primarily city hall, legal, assessing services. Recreation, that's about 7% of the budget. That's playground, library, parks, public works, 18% of the budget. That goes towards street-related needs. We do have transfers into our Dutch Elm Fund, KCC, Community Development and Capital Items Funds. And a few items to note under expenditures, we always note to, especially to the city council, we did have a health insurance increase of 17% this year. Meeting our minimum required contribution to the library for '26 is set to $89,363. This is a requirement from the state. We do have $10,000 set aside for '26 to continue our partnership with Prairie 5 Rides to continue to have the transit service available. And looking this year as transfer for our capital items fund is $559, and that is going for new computers, gear and equipment for the fire department, new squad car, new portable radios, and some pool and equipment upgrades listed at the KCC. So in comparison, again, of the general fund compared with revenues and expenses for '25 compared to '26, well, that's up there. One thing that we share during the Truth and Taxation meeting is we do go over kind of planned projects or things that are in progress planned here for 2026 that impacts the budget. One is, as a reminder, is union negotiations this year that, outcomes of those negotiations do impact the budget. The city did receive $1.5 million from the state DNR, and this is towards recreational enhancements. This resulted from the land park transfer from the tribe, so we did receive this revenue along with Yellow Medicine County and Renville County for recreation enhancements. There is a committee that is working on this and ideas of how to utilize this funds, with trails being the most popular idea at this time. But I would note, if anyone's interested in joining, we're always looking for more volunteers to talk about how to best use this dollars in our community for recreation enhancement. So note that. We did receive a $600,000 small city streetscape grant. As part of this grant, the focus is the downtown area. We do have some trees that we will be replacing. Some new seating areas, garbage receptacles, but the primary use of this funding is to replace the sidewalks just in the business district on Prentice Street here. And that project is set to be completed in 2026. And again, that is funded fully with grant funds. Another project we're working on is upgrading 2 substations. The city has 2 electrical substations. Both need updated transformers, as well as one substation needs a switchgear. In total, right now, the city received a $2.3 million federal EDA grant, as well as a $250,000 state grant. We did also apply just recently for a state grant that just now had funds come out available to match the federal EDA grant. And we applied for another $979,000, the cap that we could apply for that grant. In total, if that's awarded for this project, we will receive $3,582,000 in grant funding for a project that's looking a little over $5 million. So looking at combination of some internal reserves and then some bonding, but of course the goal is to keep the bonding to a minimum to move forward with that project. Volstead House, we did apply for a Minnesota Historical Society grant for exterior improvements. I did find out just this week that we were not awarded that grant. The Historical Society is going to pursue other grant options. Otherwise, as a worst-case scenario, they will go back to applying for the grant again in '26. It sounded like only 30% of the applications that were submitted were awarded any funding. So I don't know if there's a shortage of state funding towards that grant program or what fully is with that, but just note we were not awarded that grant, so we will keep trying. And then also the city has received 2 transportation alternative grants. One was to pay for the new trail extension that went west up the hill. And then in '27, the second grant will replace and redo the existing trail that goes to the east. Those. Always include this slide as well. This is the total taxable market value. And as you can see, historical comparison, we've had some recent jumps in taxable market value of properties. First jump was in '23, and then we're seeing another jump here in '25. Again, just informational purposes. So overall, the impact of the budget or the levy increase is 8.54%. This is actually quite low. A lot of our neighboring cities are at 20%. So we tried to, again, keep it to the bare minimum to keep essential services continuing. So what this does is it just shows kind of an average, again, of that 8.54% compared to a $100,000 house or a $100,000 business. Again, it does depend, because if your value, market value increases, you know, that impacts your taxes as well. Again, we could decrease the levy, but if your property value goes up, your taxes will still increase. But this just gives an average look of that 8.54% and how it impacts. Okay, with that, that is just, again, an overview of the general fund budget as required per the truth in taxation process. With that, again, I'm happy to answer questions, or if anyone has questions, please stop in. You know, staff is happy to help you and give you any information that you're looking for as well. Yeah.
How does our city compare to cities of comparable size? And, you know, like, my taxable market value, you're not even gonna go there, but,
Sure.
you know, if it's 100% this year, what do I expect to see next year? And, as an aged person, both my partner and I,
Yeah.
how are we expected to keep up with, all of the revenue, you know, requests and projects that are being put forth if there's no additional money coming in? And as moving into a small community, I'm also concerned about our stores and businesses. How, and, you know, if we were taxed at this rate, what is a business being taxed at? And are you on the city, part of the city, looking at when you're doing your budget proposals, that if you just increase somebody so their taxes went from 2,200 to 4,800, how are you expecting them to suck it up, or where are they supposed to get the revenue from? You know, because we are,
I can answer that.
you know, I know one thing that I did, because our streets haven't been improved on, so I went to, you know, bought the insurance through the gas company in case something should happen, and trying to do that, and you're all aware, if you're homeowners, how much your house insurance went up, let alone probably your taxes. So we're kind of all in this together, but yet it's really challenged me to the max. I mean, when this paper came, I thought, am I seeing this right? Because it's printed so lightly, but yeah, I was seeing it right. Yeah. And I've done my own research, and I've seen that, you know, a couple things were incorrect on the, I never had an appraisal done, and it said I did have an appraisal, and it was this amount, and then I noticed that my post taxes went up to what they said the appraisal was, but I didn't have an appraisal, so I wanted that corrected. And I know how to do that, and I talked to somebody.
If you don't mind, maybe, because you got a lot of questions there, and I'm happy to help with that. So just real fast with your current statement there with the appraisal. So for that, you do want to go to the meeting in April, which is the Board of Appeals and Equalization. So that is the meeting for your value of your property, your market value. So that's the meeting. The appraiser will be here as well. Or if you want, you can give them a call through the county. Which county are you in, Yellow Medicine or Chippewa? Okay. Okay. Yep, that's the person to talk to. Otherwise, if you do want to contest that, that would be for the meeting in April.
It is the counties that set your market value. That's all set by what the current sales are going, neighbors and throughout both Yellow Medicine and Chippewa County. It's the county that sets the market value of your place, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I also know that, I looked at, to make sure that the people that own the property way before when they did improvements, that they claimed it and they did. So.
Sure.
I am very happy to have somebody come in and check out
Yeah.
their property. But, the other, I lost my train of thought on that. But the other thing that I was really, really concerned about and is maybe Crystal will
Yeah,
answer that
yeah.
is, what is a percentage of people that are over 65 that are not even employed or, that are expected to keep paying out and not having any other revenue coming in to cover the taxes so we can meet the need for the services that we're providing there.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I don't have the data of ages in the community of whose age. Unfortunately, I just don't have that information to answer that question. But what I can share with you is going back kind of to what you were asking too about earlier is just in general rising costs. So one thing that we really focus on is any project that we have is usually out of necessity. Like take, for example, our substation projects. We have 40-year-old age substations. We're in a position we have to upgrade that equipment to provide reliable power. But any project that we are working on right now is tied with some sort of a grant funding. We have federal grants, we have state grants. So all the projects that I just listed there, every single one of them is funded via grant. So that has been a strong focus that we've been doing is any project, the first thing we do is we start applying for grants. We try to do long-term planning or we try to save so much each year to go towards a future project when we know it's coming. So that's one strategy that we do. Another thing I wanted to point out too, I'm going to go back to the slide here. Bear with me for a second. I'm sorry. This slide, so our future debt. So another thing that we're very careful about is our future projection of debt. So as you can see from 29 there to 2020 or 2030, we do have a significant decrease. So that's the year where we are planning for a target year for some additional street repairs. We purchased a fire truck. The principal payment will also be hitting there in 2030. So we're very just mindful of where the debt service levy is, trying to keep it as low as possible and moving forward in a responsible way to not continue to just add to it. The third thing I would mention is the increase that we are doing is 8.54%. So your comparables to neighbors, Marshall, Montevideo, they're all, Benson even, they're at 20%. It's tricky to answer that question a little bit because every city is different, right? All of our needs are different. All of our projects are different. Municipalities, we're not all doing the exact same projects or same things. So it does kind of just depend on the needs of each city of what that levy is. But again, for 26, we do know that the school levy also, with the new school, that's impacting taxes as well. We took that into consideration. And this is, again, we went just bare bones. This is inflationary increases. It's, basic needs increases. So we do try to do our best to keep the levy as low as possible. That is a huge focus on with staff every year. So I just wanted to share those few things that we are trying to do the best we can.
I understand that the individual that comes around and checks houses says this every 5 to 7 years, and one of my neighbors has lived in his property for over 50 years, never had a visit. So how are those homes where people have lived in for years and years and years, how are their taxes being assessed?
I don't think they come around and visit each
No.
resident. And for 5 to 7 years, the assessor and they look at them on paper as real estate sells, and they compare it that way. It's all done on paper.
And improvements through building.
Yeah, if you got a building permit to do improvements on your home, then the assessor will come out and physically look at your resident then. Otherwise, it's all done on paper.
improvements to their home.
Yeah,
Very much so.
very
Expected
much.
to come up with it. So
Very, yeah.
that's why I'm here.
Yeah, and I think
Yep.
that's, again, great
Very
questions.
good question. Yeah.
For the April meeting. That's more of the
Yep.
goal of that meeting. However, I would encourage you to reach out to the county. I think you can ask for an inspection if that's something that you're interested in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
great, good.
Yeah. At that April meeting, both the assessors from Yellow Medicine and Chippewa will be here at that meeting. And you can sit and visit with them and stuff like that and things and, you know, make,
Or they do welcome you to call at any time
At
if you
any
have
time,
questions. They'll
yep.
try to work with you too, obviously prior to April.
most of the time at that meeting, they'll just, you know, advise you to come into their office and bring your statement in, and they can, you can make your plea, and they can show you what it's been compared to and things like that, and how it's all based on sales, you know, and I'll tell you what, real estate in Granite's crazy, you know, and you can see our tax value, our market value, what both Yellow Medicine and Chippewa have us at is $34 million over what it was last year. That's all driven on home sales. It's crazy and people are buying it. And as they buy a 1,500 square foot house, your 1,500 square foot house is gonna go up for the percentage that sale went for over market value, because it just rose it up. So they're saying your house could sell for that as well. That's how they base it.
The double-edged sword, because when you go to sell your house, fantastic, you're gonna get more money for it, but then on the other side, you're paying more taxes for it in the meantime.
But you're not gonna be able to sell it if your taxes, if you're paying $600 a month in taxes and the person that's buying the house also has a mortgage up to that.
Yeah, it plays a factor, and I'm a loan officer, so I know exactly how I see it as the escrow part of the mortgage payment. It's a big factor. And it's not just our town either. It's other towns that I look at. Out in Watertown, did a house purchase out there 3-4 months ago, and their taxes are worse than ours on a same value house. So it's not just us, but try to do what we can to keep them down, for sure. It's not easy.
Keith?
I noticed your HRA and EDA funds doubled up there in the chart there. What happened last year that we didn't, I mean, it just dropped in 2025 and then went up.
I can answer this.
36, 38 on both of them. What happened there?
I cut it out of the budget last year. They didn't use it the year before. We were fighting for a 20% increase. I cut 4% off of both of it myself. And that was what I advised, and that's what happened. So I'll take, you know, the negative or whatever on that one. Yeah, they didn't use it from the previous year because the cost of construction and home building was so high and things. Now they have some plans, and they got a future going with some home building coming this next year, so we did put it back in this year. But that was, both of them were cut last year. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you explain what your guys' role is going to be at the April meeting and how you're gonna conduct them?
How that works is, we start out, both the assessors from both counties give their history of the past year and what houses are selling for, try to explain their increase on the market value to everybody. And then we open it up one at a time. And I guess I'll call on you one at a time to come up, and you can make your plea to both the city council and to the county. The city cannot make any changes to your market value. The only thing we are is an advisory to the county at best. We're basically a referee program is the way I'm gonna call it, because to me, the city should have no input on this, and anybody that's got a question on their market value should go direct to the county board meeting, because it's the county board that'll make the final decision on your market value or change anything on your market value. So alls we do is give you the opportunity to voice your concern and stuff to the county assessors from either side.
I came about 2 or 3 years ago to the April meeting, and different mayor, I don't know how you'll run it. That night, I was the only person that came, nothing was explained. They called on the assessor, they said, oh, here, yeah, we have one guy that signed up. I said some things. The mayor and several of the council members laughed and rolled their eyes when I was speaking. The assessor told me everything I said about other homes in the area, how long it took them to sell and so on, was irrelevant. I told her, based on this, it's gonna be $1,000 increase in our tax. She said, you can't even say that. You don't even know. And that's what it was, $1,000 more. So she sat there and went back and forth with me, told me all of my information was irrelevant, and nobody made a decision. I just finally said, we're not getting anywhere here. You told me I could come over and talk to the people in Chippewa County. So I did, and they showed me on the computer, and it's just like what you said. Basically, they put in whatever they feel like. They don't come and check. They rate your house as a, I forget what the categories are. They don't know if it's a dilapidated house that hasn't been painted 100 years. They just assign whatever they want.
What I can tell you is, if you don't get satisfaction, you gotta go to the county board. Take it to the county board, because the county board will have they have a final meeting where they approve
They do.
the market values from their assessor. And that's a meeting you gotta watch for and be at, and things, because they're the only people that can make adjustments to your market value.
And they don't want to listen. At least that was my experience.
Yeah.
So that's, what you're saying is correct? I was told that I had to go to the Minnesota tax court.
No.
No,
No.
not to my knowledge, no.
I think if it goes that far, something went wrong somewhere.
Yep, no. No.
You definitely want to contact the county assessors before April, before the Board of Appeals and Equalization, to give the assessors time to meet with you and check out your place. I mean, like, if having them basing everything, the values on, when they see a house sell for $500,000, they're gonna value that house for $500,000, even though it was valued at $150,000 2-3 years ago. That's now the new value of the house. So like, if there's something like my house, my window, most of the windows in my house they're still the original 1929 windows. They look pretty, but they are drafty. My roof is a cedar shake roof. So is my siding. And the value of my house keeps going up because all my neighbors are selling their houses for obscene amounts of money. And so next year, I'm doing the same thing. I'm gonna have them go over and say, hey, come take a look at my house. I think you guys are overvaluing, because if I tried to sell it at the price you have it valued at, I'm gonna get laughed at. And that's, you talk with them, and then by the time the meeting comes, they know which parcel, what owner, and they go, we're gonna adjust the amount on this, and then it goes, and everything's taken care of. So if you think, you definitely wanna get started on it now, so that by the time the April meeting happens, you don't even have to show up. Like, we just vote on it and it goes.
We did that today, we aren't coming.
Yeah, so,
But there was just other things that you can't do. If you paid a price and then you move into the house and find out, oh, this,
Right.
Not everything was,
That, and that's, you know, you're buying something as is, so.
well, there you go, so, but,
Okay, we'll have to cut this at this time. We're 5 minutes late to start the council meeting at this time now, but, so any market value stuff, come back in April. But like Scott says, good advice. Go see the county assessor now and get started on it, because the amount of people that may be going in there may take them a while.
I'm going in there.
Because, you know, like I said, you know, $34 million increase for this town. Everybody took a big hit.
Well, I think you guys need to be way more concerned about that. Because I think that what's happening is your houses are, you're not, the saleable, you know, like trying to sell it and having a tax of, you know, $800 a month, $350,000 house, just, you know, I think you guys really need to be more concerned about it. If you wanna keep people in this town, I think there's gonna be a big exit from a lot of towns. I don't think it's just
Dave, here's what we got going.
me that wants to leave, you know, I mean, it's one of the worst
Yep.
decisions I ever made, is coming back to Granite Falls.
Sorry you feel that way, but I'll say this. Current real estate is most of the time selling for more than what it's listed for. And there's 2 and 3 people bidding on it, and they're getting 10% more than it was listed for. It's crazy.
Yeah, but I also I was here most of my life, moved away, came back,
Yep.
and, where I live before, I know houses that are worth 1.1 million that will be paying about 1,000 more than mine, with that they raised to 390, so, you know, that's a big concern.
Yeah.
Of the percentage of what, if you wanna keep people in the town, especially old people, I don't, you know,
That's the ones we feel sorry for. I mean, I feel sorry for everybody. But I mean, that's the ones that, yeah, I get it. I understand
it's a
it.
big negative.
I understand, I
And we're
get it.
seeing it everywhere.
You know?
Our neighbor cities as well. I mean,
Yeah, it's just,
it's everywhere.
it's sad.
It's not just us.
People are still paying it.
But we need to get-
Yeah, Jerry?
As you talk about percentages, I took the actual real estate taxes, the city portion, and divided by the total. You wanna guess what percent it is?
No idea.
63%.
Of what?
You take the city portion of my real estate taxes and the total,
Yep.
divided the city, divided by the total.
Yep.
The city portion is 63%
Yeah.
of my actual 2025
Yeah.
taxes. Next year, it goes down 57%. Yahoo!
Yeah. Most cities our size run about 70%. So we're pretty fortunate. We are. Yeah, we're pretty fortunate.
Okay.
Okay, we got to close the truth and taxation. We need to move on to the